Welcome to another Amazing Race Recap podcast from the UR Team Number Facebook group. My name is Michael Harmstone, and I am joined as ever by the guy who would have loved to slap a pair of golden cuffs on a beauty queen if he was the winner of Who Done It, Logan Saunders.
Good morning.
I warned you there was a reasonably obscure reality TV reference this week, and it was Who Done It, because I found a reference to it in your blog.
Can't go wrong with Giles. He's a little tied up. Congratulations, Lindsay.
I love Giles so much. If you want to get in contact with us during the next hour, you can do. You can post comments on this video if you're watching on the YouTube channel. There's also a Q&A on the Google Plus page, or you can get your opinions in on the Facebook group, which is linked in the video description. Alternatively, tweet us using the hashtag YattonCast, which you can see every time I speak. And yeah, I'm going to be monitoring that during the show, so if anyone bothers us, or for that matter, bothers us to do with the Australian podcast, which was on 2 hours before us, then I will be able to see it today.
Did the Australian podcast get any live questions?
They didn't get any live questions apart from me harassing them on the Facebook chat, giving them stats when they were discussing who was the who had the best record ever for a female-female team. They did mention Natalie and Megan and Cormac and Nicole actually. As
they mentioned Cormac and Nicole's creepiness.
I'm not sure I agree with their sentiments, but that's what people are here for. Discussion. So, what do you think of the episode, Logan?
I realized that the Yukon is probably the most boring named places in the territory. Yeah. Ray Mountain? Fish Lake? Oh man. I would give anything to have a place named like the Allen and Adrai Warehouse or something like that.
It's factually correct. I'm sure that lake has
just anything to break the onion. It's the most boring most boring pioneer. Just named.
Well, yeah. Having said that, when they went to Nunavut, it was stuff like Hudson Bay and Goose Bay. So they're not exactly too much better, are they? So there's only after last week's impressive 6 teams being mentioned in the intro, there was only 3. It was Pierre and Michelle, Natalie and Megan, named the Hockey Heroes, and Suki and Jinder, who were mentioned. And conforming to my theory of what the final memory challenge will be, Macau was called the City of Duality. We didn't get one last week, but apparently it is the City of Duality. And I'm pretty sure we're back.
Did you notice that the non-elimination occurred at the statue of the Goddess of Mercy?
Yeah, it really did. I was going to mention this because this is the 4th time in 5 rounds that we've not actually seen them start from the pit stop location. The first 2 legs, it was the roadblock location. Then the third time in 4, sorry. The third one was I think it was Kowloon Wall City Park still. It was out on the street at least. And this week they went to a statue on the coast instead of staying in the roundabout for some reason. Because I thought maybe if we didn't get
I'm just reasoning for that was.
Yeah, I thought maybe if we didn't get a city description task at the end, it might be, well, here's where you should have started, and here's where you actually did challenge, because they just keep doing it a bit too much for some reason.
Yeah, that'd be a neat challenge for them to do, to actually remember where they finished each round.
I mean, Canada did surprise us with the memory challenge last time, and it was reasonably difficult. It was take a classic Amazing Race challenge and then make it a little bit more difficult. So, I'd like it if they did it. Don't think they will, but they could surprise me. Shall we talk about the main issue in this episode then? The one that I facepalmed the screen at when I saw.
Sure, it seems like it's a pressing matter for you, so let's unravel that. Oh!
Why did they give it to the Forges? Why? Why?
I just don't think that now. I think what's happening is that Natalie and Megan have just been such social outcasts by their teams that they haven't been privy to the knowledge that Pierre and Michelle have already dupe teams multiple times along the race course. So then Pierre and Michel use their whole Olympian camaraderie to seem like they deserve to receive the express pass, when in fact they're not going to do anything to work with the Olympians at all.
What about Suki and Jinder's massively thinly veiled attempts to get the express pass off them last week? They got some kindness. Oh, do you know you're our favourite people in the world, and you just seem to have an express pass?
Suki and Jinder would probably teams how to use for.
I'm pretty sure this just cemented my love of Suki and Jinder.
And then Rex would just get annoyed with them constantly asking how to use it.
Yes. I do love Suki and Jinder a bit too much still, though. The legends.
Yeah, they're really. I think they're starting to grow on all of us, really, like a fungus.
I think I've been quite high on the Suki and Jinder train since about week 2, when they just started doing even stupider things. But it is making it very entertaining just going into the episode and tweeting stuff like I did, which Jinder did favourite, saying, "I wonder what Suki and Jinder will make me comment on this week." Because I know they're going to do something stupid. It's just a case of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And they didn't let me down.
I like that they just keep begging and begging teams to help them, even after they say no repeatedly and just completely diss them in confessionals.
Yeah, even Ryan and Rob are going, no. Seriously, guys, no. I don't think Ryan and Rob have had that many confessionals, really, apart from last week. But
it's just all about the Olympians, really. That's all they talk about now.
I'm getting bored of the Olympians, I'm not going to lie.
As I've said before, they have a pretty great racers, or not so much great racers, but skilled racers and challenges typically make for really dull teams. And so far, Nally and Megan have just been really dull and they just seem awkward with how socially unaware that they are of what's going on. We just saw that with giving the express pass to Pierre and Michel, that they're not on the same playing field as everyone else. Everyone else is much more intelligent that way. But Nally and Megan just don't grasp that at all. They just seem they just seem awkward.
I honestly think from the edit that Pierre and Michel are obviously just going to absolutely screw them over in some capacity at some point soon. They're going to U-turn them, regardless of saying, "Oh no, we won't U-turn you guys, honest." They're obviously going to U-turn them. I think eventually that they will realise that Pierre and Michel are probably
and the U-turn could come up after the express pass expires.
Well, yeah, exactly. Pierre and Michel have only got 3 more legs to use it on anyway, I think. But they've given the upper hand to a team that you probably don't want to
use it by the end of round 8.
Yeah, I think it's round 8 they've got to use it by. I think everything we've seen.
Is it the broken hand?
With the exception of
the broken upper hand?
Yeah, that was actually finally mentioned. I know we mentioned it in the cast preview 5 weeks ago, but yeah, we finally got a reference to Megan's gammy hand, which is nice for us to see. But with the exception of Australia, I think the rules tend to be 4 or 5 for giving it out, 8 it's got to be used by, maybe 9. But I don't like the double express pass twist. I know that's been a source of conversation for a lot of people with me this week. I hate the double express pass twist. It's so boring for me.
Well, yeah, because it's just all it is cutting down production costs. It's like it's a cheap way to do a fast forward, where it's like, or a bastardized version to do a fast forward, really, where all you're doing is skipping a task and essentially quitting the task, and you still get to move further ahead, which really goes against the whole spirit of the race. Like back in the old days, you would have to use a fast forward at one point during the race, and that would involve you doing some sort of task. Here it's like, oh, do nothing and keep racing, which is not much of a race or much fun to watch, really.
Yeah, I was watching Australia versus New Zealand a couple of days ago, and like 99% of the episode, I was like, yes. Then the first team checked in. Grant said, "You get an express pass." I was like, "Oh, I thought it was going to be salvage pass." And another express pass. I was like, "No, don't do this, Grant. You moron. Just keep it away." I was so infuriated at them for doing the double express pass because there was no hint of it. Especially when all the signs were pointing at salvage pass for leg 1, express pass for leg 2.
And really, the usage of the express pass has always been really boring. Like, the only time it's exciting is if a team gets eliminated without using it.
Yeah.
But when a team does use it, it ends up being one of the least memorable moments of the season where it makes zero difference at all.
Yeah, it sucks the life out of the fun of the Amazing Race because it forces people to have alliances, which the Amazing Race isn't about. I mean, I don't mind the yield or the U-turn sort of mixing things up, but forcing them to have an alliance and forcing people to have to cooperate is less fun. With the
Well, it's not so much. It's not so much that alliances get. Yeah, it's not so much that alliances get formed with the express pass. It's that other teams are forced to suck up to other teams to get the express pass out of them. Alliances are fine in Amazing Race. It's just the amount of time wasted on it to get an express pass, which will probably have zero relevance on the season if the team uses it, is what makes it for boring television and makes it rather uneventful.
Yeah, they make less fun alliances. I'm not against alliances in the Amazing Race, especially when they're organically formed. But if a team's got to suck up and, like Natalie and Megan said, we'll only give the express pass to someone who's going to help us. Why? Just don't have a second express pass. Get it out of the way, and jobs are good. And because everyone's going to unite against the Olympians anyway, so you're just dragging Pierre and Michelle down with you now.
Yeah.
Not that anyone likes Pierre and Michelle at the moment anyway, but given how sneaky they are. Did you notice that they got premium economy tickets back to Canada as well? None of this.
Premium economy?
Yeah, none of this you've got to buy...
class? Premium class. Oh yeah. My god.
None of this...
It's premium economy.
Yeah, none of this usual Amazing Race that you've got to buy economy tickets or else. It's you all get premium economy because you're all going to be on the same flight anyway. Yay. Natalie and Megan.
That's why airlines should never be a sponsor for the Amazing Race because there really hasn't been any flights whatsoever this season.
Yeah, the Australian season's going that way as well. The prize for the first leg was sponsored by Virgin Australia, who they also product placement flew with to Christchurch. Which, yeah, I don't particularly like airlines sponsoring it, but the flights have been, the prizes have been pretty badass actually, compared to, for example, the Amazing Race 24.
Yeah, it's a pretty large budget.
If you consider that up till this leg,
Air Canada is not going to offer breakfast in bed.
Yeah, if you consider up till this leg, Natalie and Megan had won flights to Hong Kong, Asia. Where were the other two? There's two more. I can't remember where they were.
Wasn't there one to Paris?
No, that's in a couple of weeks. It was South America, Hong Kong, China, and Tokyo, as well as a total of $9,000. That's awesome.
Right.
That's like the entire prize budget of the Amazing Race 24.
If only the total price so far for them has been $9,001, then we can at least throw in a Dragon Ball Z graphic.
That's over 9,000. That can't be right. But yeah, Natalie and Megan absolutely stormed the last leg again. It was an hour and a half difference between them and Ryan and Rob.
Yeah, that was a Megan and Shane level of dominance, or a Mark and Ruvilson type dominance for one round.
Especially if you consider that that everyone pretty much caught up to them at the Fantan task. That's even more impressive that no one else could get it within 90 minutes. Either or someone had a crap driver and we didn't find out about it.
Yeah, that's what surprised me too.
So teams had to make their way to Hong Kong airport first. No mention of whether they got the ferry or not. And fly to Whitehorse. And they then had to travel to the Sky High Ranch in their product placement cars, where they would spend the night and receive their next clue after breakfast.
Did you know the Yukon is a paradise? A paradise that goes 40 degrees below zero for half the year?
Yeah, but apparently it's Canada's larger-than-life territory, which we also got the description of this week.
In Canada, there was a commercial break that aired during one of the segments where it was just John saying, "There's one place in the world that encapsulates the spirit of the amazing race, and that is
the Yukon."
The Yukon.
To be fair, at least he didn't say Winnipeg, given that it's the murder capital of Canada. Probably. Allegedly. Yeah, what was with them having to wait till breakfast to get their route marker? Is that just basically an extended pit stop for them? They might as well have just said, and teams were flown back to the Yukon to start the race.
Group all the teams
together. Yeah, teams were flown to the Yukon to start this leg of the race during the mandatory pit stop period. The mandatory rest period, sorry.
I guess, or maybe filming in the Yukon at night isn't really feasible for them.
Well, yeah.
So if you think about it, the last season when they did Yukon and Northwest Territories and Nunavut, they only filmed during the day. They never filmed once it got dark.
Yeah, last time they went to the Yukon, they then flew them out of there anyway, didn't they? Or was it? No, they flew them into the Yukon, didn't they? It's part of the two-part. Flight.
Yeah.
I think they flew them into the Yukon. Yeah, they did. Because it was Northwest Territories first, wasn't it? And then flying from Yellowknife to Carcross.
Yeah, I think they've already ran out of places to go to the Yukon now with the end of the visit this round. I don't see them going to too many more places there.
I honestly think that they're going to end up next season when they inevitably do Amazing Race Canada 3. They will obviously just have like one or two legs in Canada and then fly them out. They'll actually do a around the world trip this year, I think, or next year. Because they can't possibly not do it now. It doesn't make any sense. So, when teams finally woke up and stocked up for breakfast, they were faced with the detour, bed or sled. Which is probably the fairest detour we've got this season.
Yeah. I personally liked Alan's confessional note saying how he wishes he wasn't so weak to the point that he was being considered as a recipient for the Express Pass. I found that amusing that Alan is actually self-aware of his position in the game at this point.
I was going to say there's nobody called Alan in it. It's Incomprehensible French Babble 1 and Incomprehensible French Babble 2. which is actually what they're listed as on the placements note in the group now, which is Team Incomprehensible French Babble from week 2.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's just French mumbling.
Yeah, sorry, I was mixing them up. Sorry about that.
It's French mumbling. So Sled's one of the most complicated task descriptions we've ever had in Tarkan, I think. In Sled, teams had to pick 3 dogs, run 1.5 kilometers to Fish Lake, find the harnesses with the names of their dogs that they then chose, then correctly harness the dogs and ride 3 laps each to receive their next clue. Bloody hell. Did that all in one breath, somehow. But yeah, it's like one of the most... I think this is probably the fairest detour that Tarkan's ever done. Because usually it's one task that looks easy and really isn't, and one task that looks hard and really isn't. Like the dancing versus the scroll. I mean, last week...
Yeah, usually it's pretty lopsided.
I would have probably picked the scroll last week just looking at them, but evidently not if everyone was struggling so much with the scroll. And in bed, teams had to correctly set up a campsite using an example, including the fire to release their key to a chest of provisions. Once a wilderness guide was pleased with their efforts, they received their next clue. Did you pick up on...
personally...
Sorry, go on.
What was that? Go ahead.
No, you first.
Oh, I was just saying that Suki, the engineer at the start of the round, also said that they were feeling ready and ready to trip over the other teams, and it just reminded me of the Raleigh Weaver from Amazing Race Family Edition and his constant threat to trip Williamson all throughout the season.
Yeah, it really didn't. Suki and Jinder ended up just sort of being very lucky with the tasks being very good for them, I think. But they did really well this week, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah, just don't have just the only thing that tripped them up was women drivers, really.
Did you did you pick up on this week's Pierre and Michelle mispronouncing of the week, which we seem to have stumbled upon?
Who?
Yeah, it was during the detour this week. I know we like picking
No, I did not.
On this. It was we don't have a third name of the dog.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I did. I do remember that now. I thought it was just going to have everything involved. It's just so that hear Pierre Michel pronounce everything as turd.
I was going to say I thought it was quite weird.
Instead of every single round.
Yeah, I thought it was quite weird for you to not pick up on something mocking Pierre and Michel like I do. My favourite bit of the entire detour was probably Mickey and Pete flirting with Nicole. And Cormac being so uncomfortable that someone was flirting with his mother.
Yes, hitting on Nicole, that right in front. Yeah, that's right in front of her 19-year-old son. That's classic.
How uncomfortable would it be if you went on the Amazing Race with your mother and then a team that's not much older than you started properly flirting with her and basically calling her a MILF?
Yes, I would probably find a new partner for All Stars. That's what I would do. I would not go on with my move.
It's just so uncomfortable. but you know, hilarious and equal.
Before being taunted by Olympians at the World Show too. But yeah, I like how Mickey and Pete were so casual about it, as if nothing was wrong with them hitting on Nicole at the detour.
Oh, yeah, she's quite hot, really. Oh, I was just sitting there.
You know what's hilarious too? Is that the detour option.
The first time I felt sorry for Cormac.
Okay. Yeah.
Go on, what were you gonna say?
Oh, just how the detour option is called "Make Your Bed," and Cormac is on the Amazing Race stuck making his bed with his mother. It's like childhood times being relived once again.
Yeah, he decided. Well, bear in mind that the first week of Hong Kong, first week in China, he decided to. Got his mother held his hand when crossing a street, like he was about 7.
That's where the creepiness somewhat comes from time to time. It's still hilarious that people are against the whole Cormac and Nicole are creepy edit. It's more endearing, if anything, towards them.
I am disappointed that they have been eliminated now. Spoilers, purely because we now cannot mock them for being very creepy. Slightly disappointing for me. I'm gonna have to find another team to pick on now.
Yeah.
I also
we don't get to hear Nicole's overemphasization on Cormac's name.
With, Cormac! Yeah, I love how uncooperative the sled dogs were with Audrey. I think this is the first time in Talk we've actually had a uncooperative an uncooperative animal task at least. Because the dogs last season were really nice.
And it wasn't a camel.
Actually, the
Usually,
better detour
camels
option.
are the only animals that are uncooperative.
And it wasn't a camel, yeah. Having said that, the Huskies make it up by being cute, so... Yeah. Yes, face of an angel, heart of a killer. So Ryan and Rob left their detour, which was sled, in first, and found out they had to head to the most boring location name in all of the Yukon, Grey Mountain. And
I like how one of their dogs was named after a one-hit wonder.
Which one?
There was Darla, Rye, and The Blur, which was not accompanied by a reference to song number 2, surprisingly.
Songs Blur weren't one-hit wonders. Not in the UK, at least. They might have been in Canada.
In North America, yeah. They're definitely wonders.
Time to find out how many hits they actually had. Yes, time to Wikipedia Blur. But yeah, I wouldn't count them as a one-hit wonder. They had, what, 4?
I know that they were doing well recently, but none of them were big hits in Canada.
4 UK #1 albums, and 2 UK #1 singles. So yeah, I won't count them as a one-hit wonder, necessarily. Park Life. So Mickey and Pete then left.
Pierre and Michelle really screwed the pooch with the dog task.
Yeah, I don't know how they could possibly not read the clue. The first thing you do when you get a detour clue is read all the information, then decide which one you're going to do. You don't just sort of skim it over.
Although I would switch tasks if I found out that I had to rely on the speed of Fuzzy from Amazing Race Asia 3 to get me ahead in dog sledding. Yeah, there's true. Fuzzy, Mia, and Gomer.
You're just picking up on all the names now, aren't you?
I wrote down all the dog names that I saw, yeah.
Thought you might. As soon as I saw that.
Yeah, so believe it or not, Olympians Dog is Junior. For some reason, they forgot to code.
Yes, as soon as I saw what that task involved,
which
I
think
would
have been from that Tom Cruise movie.
So Mickey and Pete, using their extensive wilderness experience, built their tent in 4 attempts and left in second. And Suki and Jinder somehow managed to leave in third. However, speed bump! Clang.
Yeah. Yep. And it's another sponsorship task.
I must say, as much as I do detest...
Amazing Race 23 with the Norway task.
As much as I absolutely hate speed bumps, and I think that there's pretty much no other non-elimination penalty that is worse, this one wasn't actually that awful. It wasn't untying a knot or jumping into a swimming pool. Or what are the stupid ones have they had? The ice cream task in Turkey that Josh and Brent had to do, that was stupid.
Untying a knot.
Yeah, untying a knot was my first choice. Yeah, it wasn't up there with the stupidest ones they've ever done in speed bump history. At least. That's all I can ask.
Driving 13 kilometers in a trailer probably wouldn't be too quick to do.
And then having to park it properly.
Having Suki try to park it properly.
Well, yeah. That's what I said. But yeah, it's probably up there with the more difficult speed bumps, so that's not a really big award.
I wrote Did you notice how Suki handled the dogs of the detour though? She was just like being aggressive with putting the harnesses on them. I didn't know which animals were more abused on the Amazing Race this week. Suki with the abuse of the dogs, or that one Australian team tackling the sheep in the Australia premiere.
Have you seen it now then? Or have you just seen little bits?
I saw the premiere. Yeah, I saw
I am very shocked that
I saw the them pick up hay bales and I just felt so bad for the sheep because they just get sent flying to the ground one time.
I'm surprised that the RSPCA haven't been on their case for that yet, actually. Because they have been about the Amazing Race Australia before, I think, and that's probably the most violent test they've ever done with an animal.
Yeah. And they were already angry with Amazing Race Canada 2 weeks ago with drinking the lizard, or not the lizard, the snake.
I would say with the Amazing Race Australia,
Yeah,
that's probably the worst. That's probably the worst premiere they've ever done for the Amazing Race Australia. The past two have been amazing, like the best premieres that have been done in Amazing Race history. Including a detour last season, which will be very familiar to you. Jig or Pig was the opening detour. That's an Amazing Race International Classic now, actually. So Cormac and Nicole took 3 attempts to complete the 10th task and left in 5th. Especially wanted Mickey and Pete to stop flirting with Nicole, and Pierre and Michelle left in 6th. And Audrey left sled in 7th after Audrey got trolled by the dogs a lot.
Can we talk about the Street Fighter reference at the dog sledding detour?
I was waiting for you to say it.
With them having to say ha repeatedly, it just reminded me of the E Honda slaps from Street Fighter. Ha 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 as they're trying to do the detour there. And then the other word they had to yell was G, and I couldn't help but think of G from the Amazing Race 4, or not Amazing Race, Big Brother 4. But Eric around to anything. And if you said Haji together, then you would think of the character Prodigy from the anime Blood Positive, because he was the guardian of Cyan. So pop culture references, all because of 2 words.
The ha 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 reference, especially Cormac, Nicole's laugh as well, being in there. That just made me think of Rachtress and Kathy Vavrick O'Brien as well.
Yeah, I was thinking Kathy Vavrick O'Brien as well.
How have we not heard Nicole's laugh so far as well? Her laugh is up there with the best reality TV laughs we've had.
I know it's tragic. It's tragic. If only they lasted a bit longer.
I still don't think.
Maybe they just don't have as much of a sense of humor.
Yeah, probably. She's too busy.
Nothing will be as good as Kathy.
No.
Or Keisha. Keisha's laugh.
Yeah, Keisha's laugh as well is up there in Amazing Race laugh history, as well as sadly. But we heard that all the way through Unfinished Business as well. Do you notice what Jinder said during the speed bump as well when they were having that little fight? I know trailers. Oh, Jinder. If there's one specific...
I can only imagine growing terrorists and being, hey guys, no, I know that you think you know what you're doing, but I am one with trailer. I have the spirit of it. I am interactive. He's talking about a trailer as if it's a horse.
Yeah, if there's one specific thing,
he's like the trailer whisperer.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about tasks being catered towards teams in a bit, then who would have thought that Jinder's love of trailers would come up? So when teams finally got to
the only time they do
Grey
well is because Jinder gets to play with the trailer.
They opened the clue, and it was a roadblock, which I have simply titled Olympic. for some reason they decided to push the Olympics angle again. Maybe it's because they've got Olympians in the cast.
Winter Olympics, no doubt, too.
One team member had
John's
to ride a
also
bike.
Winter Olympians.
Yeah, biathlon's Winter Olympics, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't think it was ever done in.
The Norwegians always. Canadians did terrible at the biathlon. Come to think of it, this year, I think some of them were doing almost as bad as a certain racer did this week.
Which we will get to. So one team member had to ride a 1 kilometre lap to around to the shooting range and shoot 5 targets with 5 shots. If any target was missed, they then had to ride the course again to earn another 5 shots. And there's one very cool image that came out of this task, which was the pile of bullets.
Yeah.
I deliberately screenshotted this as soon as it happened. How are there that many shots that it took her? Seriously. I know we're skipping ahead ever so slightly, but how? I worked out it's 107 bullets she used at least.
It's like the performance of a bad guy in a Western film, really.
107 shots she took. She cycled a half marathon.
Marie and Tiffany would have still, and Marie and Tiffany would still be at the Holland high striker after 107 attempts. So it's not the worst performance we've ever seen.
No, but it is up there.
It certainly is. I can't argue with that. John Vito only need like 2 or 3 more additional shots to complete the William Tell task from Amazing Race 3.
Yeah, 107 though, that's insane. Canada didn't get any medals for the biathlon, by the way, this year.
I shouldn't. I just have 2 quick. Yeah, I just have 2 quick notes with the detour. Having to hear Rex and Bob moan while putting the tent together is probably the most unpleasant sound I've heard in ages.
Yeah,
I can go a lifetime without hearing that again. And I love how Audrey is confused about a task for about the 5th round in a row. She is terrible at understanding tasks overall.
Yeah, she really is.
Like she did nothing with the dog sleigh, and then once Alain took over, then suddenly they were doing much better.
Here's the thing, though, that dog sled task, I might have avoided it purely because it didn't, not purely because it required both team members to be good at it or reasonable at it. That's a massive red flag when it comes to Amazing Race. If a task requires both of you to pull your weight, it's not looking promising for you. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I did notice the hockey females did have one slightly interesting moment this week where they tried to switch from high pitched to low pitched as if they're duplicating the scene from the second Austin Powers film.
As if the dogs actually care.
When they were yelling at the dogs and suddenly going lower, then higher. Yeah. It's funny because if you take linguistics, sociolinguistics here in Canada, apparently we're pretty guilty of up-talking, so Canadians naturally have a pretty high-pitched tone of voice compared to most nations around the world.
Yeah, I just don't understand how they could possibly think that it was going to be a good idea. But whatever worked for them, let's be honest.
I've heard that Olympics are superstitious.
Yeah, if next week they do not get first place, though, I will be shocked. Especially when we already know one side of the detour. So
I also appreciate the
Ryan
Mario Kart 64 detour split screens there when they were dog sledding as well. When it looked like they were having a 4-player game on what's that one level from Mario Kart 64 with the snowy level? With the ice, Sherbert Land?
Sherbert Land, yeah. because it
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
It reappeared as a retro track.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 7, I think it was. I must admit,
Yeah.
I'm not as good on my Mario Kart before Double Dash as I am after Double Dash. Double Dash was my jam. Uh, as I
That's the
said,
one I played the least.
as I said to a guy from American MasterChef, who's a dude, this week on Twitter, yeah, she has probably had the greatest course designs of any Mario Kart game for me. I love it because you get stuff like Baby Park, which is the most simple challenge ever, but also awesome because it ended up being an absolute cluster when all the bananas and stuff were around. You got stuff like Daisy Cruiser, which is an awesome level, Dino Dino Jungle, which is one of the most creative levels ever.
Yeah, my brother took our copy of Double Dash and just brought it to his workplace, and that's why I haven't been able to play it in about 2 years or so, because it just sits permanently at their work for their lunch breaks.
Mario Kart Wii, it reappeared in, by the way. It's good having Google.
Yeah.
So, Ryan was
Oh,
the...
and
Sorry, go on. You go first.
oh, and Mark and Nicole in the D2. Nicole pretty much just mauls Cormac and starts making out with him at the end of the task.
Yeah, I'm glad we won't have to see any of the creepiness again, but I'm also disappointed because I won't get to point any of the creepiness out again. Unless they do something really weird at the finish line.
Yes. It's I mean we got yelled at for pushing the creepiness, but it's like we have the evidence to up really. We talked about it each week. We always have a good point to support our audience. It's almost like they're just creepy. I mean, they can't help it. It's almost an naming term for us.
Yeah, I have never... I've not seen a single other podcast or recap that is calling them creepy like we are. Because we have been telling them they're creepy since week 1. And something tells me that even if Suki and Jinder start spreading this around the Amazing Race Canada community, if John watches this, it'd be amazing, but still. Something tells me Cormac and Nicole would probably be the one team who wouldn't exactly approve of us. Especially with us just calling them creepy every week.
I wouldn't be surprised because neither of them have as much of a sense of humor as the other teams do. The only other team I can think of that would lack a sense of humor as Cormac and Nicole would be the Olympians.
I'm not sure actually. I'd probably put Pierre and Michelle ahead of them. I don't think Pierre and Michelle have that big a sense of humor. Especially if they saw the...
It'd be a dark sense of humor. I think they fit in well with us.
Yeah, if they saw the cast preview, they'd probably laugh at us pretending to Forget them, but still. It's the technical term. It's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Yes. We're just very Forgetful, obviously. So Ryan was the first one to attempt the biathlon, and he got 2 targets on his first attempt. Natalie, being an Olympian, obviously got 4, and Elaine absolutely smoked the task and got all 5 in 5 shots. He didn't miss a single one. Which is
that was good. That was if there was a cowboy beast mode like from Big Brother 16, that would be the definition of cowboy beast mode. You just take out the old school type of gun and just shoot targets one at a time and never miss.
I have not watched this week.
Can't get much stronger than that.
Yeah, I'm deliberately not following Big Brother this week purely because there's a very strong chance that Zach is going home. And, Zach trolled Rachel in the pre-season interview, so I kind of like Zach. I know who won the veto. I don't know whether they used it or not. If they didn't, he's screwed.
Yeah, I haven't followed it for about the past 7 or 8 days or so. That's what happens to me with every Big Brother season. I have no problem following about the first 3-4 weeks, and then I start to slowly lose interest throughout the season.
Yeah, I'm deliberately not looking at Jokers or anything because it will tell me what happened, and I'll be so disappointed if I don't see that he's been vetoed. But I don't think he will be, sadly.
Oh, and Rex threatened to quit again at the end of the detour. I'm doing a Rex quitting count.
Yeah, you're doing a Rex quitting count. I'm doing a Pierre
As
Michel
if anybody cares if he
things count.
quits or not at this point.
Yeah, I did think we were going to get another quit at the roadblock. Actually, I thought Nicole was probably going to quit. But then she brought Cormac up never to quit ever.
And who knew? And who knew? Yeah.
I think my favourite thing of the entire roadblock was just the editors having so much fun showing Nicole one after the other going 8th attempt, 9th attempt, 10th attempt, 0 targets scored. That's just mean.
Yes. I was laughing out loud once it got to attempt 17 or 18.
Yeah, that's how I worked out how many shots she'd done, because we know she used at least 2 on the last attempt, and it was attempt number 22. So it's at least 107.
She missed, what was it? It took her 50? It took her 55 shots before she scored one?
She scored
She's like Tom Westman with a gun.
She scored one in... Let me find it. Yeah, 13 attempts was... 13th attempt was her first one. So somewhere in the region of about 60.
60, yeah, around 65, yeah. That's insane.
Yeah,
I should note that it's no surprise that Ryan didn't do well at the roadblock either, because I don't know too many drag queens who use a gun.
We can ask Ben. Ben will do it. Ben, I'm sure, will tell us whether he knows any drag queens who use a gun.
Who shoot guns, yes.
Did you notice that when Pierre was shooting at the end, they, for some reason, played the Indian soundtrack from Amazing Race?
Yeah, what was with that? Why? I didn't really understand that too much at all.
I'm assuming it was to sort of reference him trying to be as calm as is physically possible, but still, sort of a zen frame of mind.
And did you notice how Megan completely trolled Pete at the roadblock there?
Why? What did she do?
Well, when Pete missed, after Pete missed 15 or 20 shots in a row, then you just have Megan just quietly in the corner say, "Get back on your bicycle," as if Pete needed to hear that after knowing that Pete said that he's an expert huntsman in the middle of the Ontario wilderness, but for some reason can't put it together in the Yukon. And then he has Megan egging him on in the corner, which shows just how isolated socially Natalie and Megan are. Or rather, her name's not Natalie anymore. Apparently her name is Spoons, according to her nickname at the roadblock, which may be one of the worst nicknames I've heard in my life.
Yeah, I facepalmed when I saw... when I heard Mickey and Pete say, we live in the wilderness, this will be perfect for us, we're going to win this leg. I just thought, oh god, any wilderness task, you're screwed. 4 attempts on the detour, and about 8, it was 8 attempts Pete took for the roadblock.
Yeah, maybe Natalie's nickname was Spoons because that was from her anorexia days in high school.
Can I just point out that... can I just point out that Nicole only scored 1 after 13, or in attempt number 13. She took until attempt number 21 to score numbers 2 and 3.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully she's not packing.
Yeah. So after teams finally left the roadblock, in the case of Cormac and Nicole, they had today's active route info, which was paddle 1.5 kilometers to the Miles Canyon on the Yukon River, which is the pit stop for this leg of the race.
Guess who got a redemption this week for that task?
Who?
Ellen and Audrey for losing 45 minutes to an hour in the process.
Yeah, they absolutely smashed Oh, he absolutely smashed the roadblock. That's one of the most dominant roadblock performances we've seen in absolutely forever, which is impressive. But yeah, Alan and Audrey finally toppled the
Yes,
Olympians and took first place. Won a trip to any of Air Canada Rouge's sun destinations, so the tropics, in other words, and $3,000 on their conveniently product placement card.
Can you? I love Audrey's pronunciation in this episode where she pronounces it as canoe, and then her stepping onto the mat saying, "First place feels really, really good."
Didn't they have to portage as well, which set off her Frenchness? They had to portage.
Portage,
They
yeah.
had to portage their canoe.
I think that's the first time I've had to see a team that. Yeah, that's the first portage I've seen since the short-lived competition show called Treasure Hunters, where they had to portage around the middle of the season.
Treasure Hunters is about my only blind spot when it comes to that sort of program. Loved Who Done It, love the quest, love the mole.
You've got to watch Treasure Hunters just for there's a couple of teams in there that are just downright hilarious that you need to see. Particularly the pointless battle between the Bernie and the Hanlon family. That's probably one of the funniest things I've seen in the past 10 years.
I want to get you and Ben to watch Dutch Mole with me. I want to do a rewatch season 13 because it's amazing. It's like the best mole season ever.
Oh, do you notice Pierre and Michelle's
time
waddling?
for everyone's favourite segment, Suki and Jinder's stupid. Yes, it did.
Yes, waddle when they grab the map from that store.
Suki and Jinder's stupid. Yeah, if you find an information point on your way to any task in the Amazing Race, obviously you try and get a free map. Especially when they got one loonie for this leg of the race, which we didn't mention. For some reason, they just put Canadian slang in.
Yes, a loonie.
$1.
Yes.
Thankfully, my experience with going to Canada a couple of years ago means I do know what a loonie is. A loonie and a toonie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
yes, it's no Wu-Tang Clan would not be able to get their lyrics known too well in Canada because there is no dollar bill.
Yeah. It's time for everyone's favourite segment anyway. It's Suki and Jinder's Stupidity of the Week. Which way's upstream?
Yes.
Downstream, sorry.
Downriver, upriver.
Downriver, yeah. I sent that to Ben when he finished.
Downriver, alternate river.
Yeah, which way's downriver? Oh, Suki and Jinder. I love you so much, but obviously downriver is the way the river is going. Duh. And finally, after 5 weeks, Megan's hand got a shout out. After we mentioned it in the preview podcast, because it was mentioned in the cast bios. So,
is this before or after Ryan and Robert they played
Ryan and Rob passed them when they just got the boats, I think. So I think they mentioned it slightly before Ryan and Rob beat them because they got there first. They got to the canoe bank, I suppose.
Oh, there's
second.
Yes.
And then
Speaking of stupidity, Megan had a really stupid quote at the roadblock.
What was that?
Because Natalie, or Spoons rather, hit had four of the 5 targets hit, and she came back. She had 5 shots to get that one target, and then when she hit it, Megan refers to it as being clutch. I'm thinking, since when does hitting the target with 4 extra bullets mean clutch?
Yeah. They're obviously just used to egging each other on in practice. I'm pretty sure they are the one team still left in that have never seen The Amazing Race. I think just looking at the next time preview, they were probably recruited. Going, we need an Olympian team. Wonder if, how about hockey players? Canada's known for hockey. Just trying to get a stereotypical Canadian team. So yeah, Alain and Audrey came in first, and Alain collapsed on the mat, pretended to. Ryan and Rob stayed in second, and then we had Spoons and Mickelson in third. Suki and Jinder rose to fourth, Pierre and Michelle in fifth. Mickey and Pete finally left the roadblock in seventh, but managed to beat Rex and Bob in the canoeing task, and Rex and Bob came in seventh. And sadly, #Team Creepy came in last. A moment of silence.
It's a sad day.
It is.
Yeah.
It's always a sad day when a team I can take the piss out of has to leave the race.
Okay, moment of silence over.
Yeah. So, should we talk about next week?
Do you know that the place was called Miles Canyon?
Yeah. Miles Canyon's probably one of the production assistants or something.
When it's Canadian. Yeah, and it's a Canadian show, so I'm surprised it's not called Kilometers Canyon.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, there was a guy who helped Mickey and Pete, I think it was, who said it was 3 miles down the road. Which I forgot to mention.
And the prize was bumped up for the Scotiabank cards too. Instead of it being $2,000, it's now up to $3,000.
It was 3 last week as well.
On Air Rouge.
Yeah. It
was 3. Okay.
Yeah. This week and last week were both 3,000. The first 3 weeks were 2. So should we talk about next week?
And Rex also quoted a line from Austin Powers this week.
You're loving the Austin Powers references this week.
Oh no, it was Bob who. Yes. Bob. Well, he said. Well, when Rex hit the target, Bob yelled, "Yeah, baby, yeah." I mean, how can he not think of Austin Powers when he shouts that?
Canadian icon Mike Myers there.
Or Pierre and Michelle with the most awkward Pitts Matt chat in Amazing Race history, I would say, where they said it was the most broken French I think I've heard of in my life, where all they just say is "Merci, bonjour, bye." That's it. They weren't even interested in talking to them.
Yeah, I'm not sure John knows how to speak French. Let's be honest, but they were very.
Maybe Pierre and Michelle Maybe Pierre and Michelle used their expression on the first team ever to do so.
They were very French this week, actually, weren't they? Because they were properly French when Natalie and Megan gave them the express pass, and properly French with John as well.
Yeah.
So next week.
And John reinforcing
next week. 2 good, 1 bad.
Let's talk about next week. I didn't really have anything worthwhile to say anyway.
Oh. God, you can say it in a minute. So, yay, they're going to the murder capital of Canada, or former murder capital of Canada. 2 years running, 2010 and 2011. And yay, a karaoke task, which is always going to be humiliating for them, which is exactly what we want. And then the detour.
In drag, Ryan has an advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan will do that roadblock, let's be honest. However, the detour. Why are they having an ice hockey task? With Olympians.
That'd be like if there was a surgery mask for Holly in Minera's Cannon.
That would be like having a downhill skiing task for Pierre and Michelle, or a fitness infomercial task for Hal and Joanne. Why? Why are they doing this to me?
This
Amazing Race Canada 2 has been so good, and now they are screwing it up.
I think producers want the other teams to hate Natalie and Megan as much as possible by giving them blatantly biased tasks at the midway point of the season. And I feel horrible for Cormac and Nicole because they're from Winnipeg, and they were one round shy of having the Winnipeg round, which is a great bit of dark humor.
However, they would have inevitably gone the way of the Amazing Race 8 and got eliminated in their hometown, probably. Which would have been even funnier.
Yeah, that could have happened too.
I don't actually think the producers need to do much to make other teams hate Natalie and Megan.
I like how the last team who beat them was Rex and Bob, or Rex and Bob were 7th of all people. The quitter.
Yeah.
Beats the person who was only 100 finishing a task.
I don't think they actually need to force people hating Natalie and Megan on them because they've won 4 legs. They are only the second team ever to win the first 4 legs in a row. And the other team is currently 4th in the overall rankings ever. They're going to get U-turned very soon if they are at all behind. Let's be honest.
Yes, definitely.
They would be prime targets for the U-turn. I think with assuming Pierre and Michelle haven't used their express pass by the time a U-turn rolls around, they will probably get U-turned as well because of how unpopular they are.
Yeah, that lines the whole deal of giving the express pass to the most unpopular team to protect you is probably going to backfire because teams are probably going to U-turn Pierre and Michelle ahead of time, so there won't even be a slot for Pierre and Michelle to U-turn somebody else to even protect Natalie and Megan, even if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they would not want to. I think they were only pretending to be nice to get it, and then they can now dump them like the sack of shit they think they are, basically.
Yeah. I think Pierre and Michelle also just really want the express pass because they're probably expected to be U-turn and just use that as a defense to get through. It's like, well, screw you teams, you can't even U-turn us now if you wanted to because we can just use this to get it.
Maybe they'll be the first team to get triple U-turned. They get U-turned by one team, have to use their express pass, and then get U-turned again by another team. I know that's physically impossible, but it would be hilarious.
Yeah, to have 2 teams specifically U-turn you.
Yeah, exactly. That should be possible. It'd be funnier. So, anything else to talk about this week?
The hashtag Nicole didn't really pay off.
Yeah, hashtag never give up Nicole, but get eliminated anyway.
Are finally Winnipeg. Ryan and Rob want to still around Putelli and Megan, and Mickey and Pete miss on their chance on the threesome with Nicole. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the week.
Will next week, or the preview of next week, make everyone who keeps going, oh, why are they not going to Winnipeg, shut up now? I sincerely hope so.
Yes, but it's people from Winnipeg, so they're not going to shut up regardless.
Well, they got to do something to try and get the murder capital of Canada back again. They've not had it for 3 years now.
I'm amazed if they're from Winnipeg, because if it's a self-drive round, I expect 4 or 5 of each other when they run out to get directions at a corner store.
Did they self-drive at all last week? Can you remember? Because...
What was that, sorry?
Did they self-drive last week at all? I don't think...
Not in Macau. No, they didn't self-drive in Macau at all.
Because I thought...
Not in Hong Kong either.
Yeah,
I think Hong Kong and Macau were both taxis.
They did to the airport in Hong Kong. I thought that Tarkan was going to try and get the record from Season 5 of having the racers driving every single round again. Because that's never happened since.
Yeah.
There's always been one leg where it's taxis.
No, it has not.
So, I think that's about it. thank you very much for watching and listening. We will see you next Wednesday at the same time for another episode of the Amazing Race Canada Recap Podcast, brought to you by the UR Team Number Facebook group. And don't forget, if you are watching Amazing Race Australia versus New Zealand like we are, 2 hours before we start every week, Michelle, Ben, and Eamon will be recapping the Amazing Race Australia versus New Zealand. I watched it earlier; it was very good, and it is available on the UR Team Number Facebook group as well. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.